Lux your way with the Lux Cravings boxes from Taco Bell. There's the classic $5 box, the indulgent $7 box, and a whole new obsession in the $9 box, the Flamin' Hot Grilled Cheese Burrito. Try the Lux Cravings boxes at Taco Bell today.
As sports fans, we may cheer for different teams, but there's one thing that we can all agree on. We want the game to be big. And with 3 levels, 30 cabanas, a 143-foot screen, 6 clean pools, and endless cold drinks, it doesn't get any bigger or any better than Stadium Swim in Las Vegas. All sports, all seasons. It's more than a pool deck. Stadium Swim. It's the only thing like it in the world.
Check out the all-new Blue and Orange store at the Boise State Hall of Fame. The Blue and Orange store has your best game day gear. We're talking jerseys, hats, bumper stickers, car flags, more than 4,000 hats on the hat wall. If you want the best Boise State gear, make sure you check out the Blue and Orange store online at theblueandorangestore.com or the all-new Blue and Orange store down at the Boise State Allen Noble Hall of Fame.
Sunny days call for Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea. Made with real iced tea and real vodka. Refreshing and goes down smooth. Let the good times cruise with Sun Cruiser.
How's your day going?
Going good, thank you, yes.
When I want Boise State to win, I trust Coach Rice to lead the Broncos to victory.
And when I want the best painting and garage floor coating, I trust rowpaint.com to get that job done right.
Hey Bronco Nation, this is Shannon Keegren with Boise State Softball. Summer in Idaho is the best time of year. Rodeos, camping trips, and the hikes that end in views you'll never forget. At Lithia Ford of Boise, we're here to get you there. With a team known for incredible customer service, the best new and pre-owned inventory, and a commitment to making your experience easy, friendly, and fast. But here's the best part. Every purchase here helps support Boise State athletics through their NIL partnerships and athletic sponsorships. See you soon at Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Bronco Nation News Live is the only daily show that talks nothing but Boise State sports. And we do it with you. Give us your comments or questions in the ICCU YouTube chat. Or leave us a voicemail on the Signature Roofing voice inbox at speakpipe.com/BNN. BNN broadcasts come from the Sun Cruiser Studios. Sunny days call for Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea, made with real iced tea and real vodka. It's refreshingly smooth and easy to drink. Crack open a Sun Cruiser and let the good times cruise. Bronco Nation News is presented by our title sponsor, Lithia Ford of Boise, and our major sponsors, Taco Bell, Idaho Central Credit Union, RoadPaint.com, and the Blue and Orange Store. At Lithia Ford of Boise, we're proud to stand with Boise State Athletics. Through our NIL marketing partnerships, we're investing in the future of student athletes. Lithia Ford of Boise, here to get you there, wherever that may be. Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho. Broadcasting from the Sun Cruiser Studios, here's BJ Rains with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Prater's bobbing his head. We're dancing. We're having fun. It's Friday morning. Hope everybody is doing well. It is at 9:08. We apologize for being a couple minutes late. We'll tell you why in just a second because the news is official, Mike Prater. But Mike Prater, it's Friday. He joins us from their Lithia Ford of Boise studios there at KTIK, our regular Friday guest. My name is BJ Rains. This is Bronco Nation News Live. We do it each and every weekday here at 9 a.m. thanks to our title sponsor, Lithia Ford of Boise, Jim Sturk and Company. Get out for that newer pre-owned vehicle this weekend and check out what they have to offer at Lithia Ford of Boise. Mike, it's Friday. We got some breaking coaching news. We're going to talk some football. We're jam-packed here. How we doing?
Oh, those are three of my favorite things in the world. Breaking news, a little football, a little basketball. Let's get after it on a beautiful Friday day, huh?
Well, we will get right into some breaking news here. You've been all over this on your show the last couple of days, alluding to this, and we'll see what this means long term. But Tim Duryea, assistant coach, has just been announced by Boise State. Tim Duryea announcing his retirement. 8 years at Boise State. By my count, 38 years in the coaching profession, nearly 40 years as a coach at all various levels, was a head coach, all the way from JUCO up to Division I there at Utah State. And I know this will come with mixed reactions, Mike, because folks, we're frankly wondering about the offense moving forward, and some folks were wondering about this possibly being a change that, some wanted to see happen. So there will be plenty of time to say how great this move is for Boise State, and we'll get into that during the show. But off the top, Tim Duryea, almost 40 years in coaching. Loved having him on the show. Great guy coming on the show, and do want to give him a hat tip for a career, a really long, nice career. And yeah, this will be an opportunity for change for Boise State, which I think some will welcome, but also around the program, for some, a sad day to see Tim Duryea decide to hang it up.
It is a sad day, but it's also one of those happy retirement stories. And I don't have anything, when I say that, it has nothing to do with basketball or X's and O's or the offense or what fans want. You just read a beautiful man's beautiful resume, and a guy like that deserves to go out and retire on his own. He's one of the great gentlemen of college basketball, and gentleman is probably the perfect word for that. I don't know him that well, but based on what I do know about him, and based on my interactions with him, and based on what everybody says about Tim Duryea, one of the great gentlemen in this profession, and he's made a family decision, he's made a wife decision, he's made a father's decision, and sounds like he's heading out of town and going to go chase some family, chase some grandkids, chase some golf, and just enjoy the life. He's still young. I think he's only like 62, 63 years old. But 40 years of college basketball and dog years, that's like 80 years of professional work. So congratulations to Tim Duryea for a job well done. And I think for a while there, he brought a lot of adult to the room when I wasn't sure that Leon Rice was the adult in the room. And I know that sounds kind of weird, but it's time for him to do his thing. And frankly, from a basketball standpoint, it's time for a change. And this is a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think both can be true on that. And my understanding is, and folks will say what they want to say, whatever, but this was 100% Tim Duryea's decision. Tim Duryea has a special needs daughter, and also just has a couple other daughters that live in Texas and wanted to get closer to his family in Texas and spend more time with his family. And my understanding was Tim Duryea wanted to see the recruiting cycle through, wanted to not put them in a terrible spot with not having an assistant coach, going through the portal situation, and helped, keep this thing intact for the last month, knowing this was kind of always his plan, and wanted to, finish the roster and kind of go out on his own terms. And so I know folks were wanting Leon to make a change in all this. My understanding, this was 100% Tim Duryea's decision. And like I said, you look at the offense. I think I looked up the numbers here. They, 2 years ago, they were 39th, Mike, in offense at Ken Palm. It was the third highest offense Boise State's ever had. The year before, it was fourth. I know at times this year it got a little stale. People didn't like, middle of the season there, some of the offensive numbers. But down the stretch, the offense actually did get better. But again, a new chance for fresh ideas, fresh scheme, fresh system. Very curious what they decide to do. But I do want to make this clear that Tim Duryea did this on his own terms. This is a family decision to spend more time with his family. Like I said, he does have a special needs daughter that they're going to get an opportunity to spend a lot more time with. And I'm jealous. He's going to get to play a lot more golf as well, Mike Prater.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And to be able to help out Mrs. Duryea, who's really for those, all those years has been kind of dealing with that burden on her own while Tim's out there cranking and taking care of his passion to be a coach and taking care of his family. So it is. I've heard the same thing that, frankly, I don't think Leon Rice, we did a loyalty thing on our show a couple of weeks ago. And, I say this somewhat flippantly, but maybe not, that I'm not sure Leon Rice would have had the courage or the guts to fire Tim Duryea. So yeah, I've been told, like you have, this was 100% a family decision, and it's time for him to go off and do it. I think it's cool that a guy is in a position. I mean, he's younger than I am, for crying out loud, and he's in a position to go out and retire and take care of business, take care of his family, and play, frankly, a lot of golf. So I love that, and it's very, very cool for him. And I understand that him and Lexus and the entire crew had a big old fat retirement party the other night, and I'm sure there was a lot of tears and stories and a lot of fibbing and a lot of good cheer for a lot of good dudes. And that's a pretty cool basketball family when it comes to the people of the basketball family.
Yeah, and I appreciate he always came on the show. Like, just came on like 10 days ago and talked about the roster. And there was a time when I was traveling with a team to Wyoming, I believe, on a game day. He came on for me this past season, so was always available. A nice guy, and as you said, good golfer and like talking baseball and other sports and things, and was just one of those good guys. When you showed up at practice or before a game, would always say hello, how you doing? And so got criticized, and at times it was probably warranted with the offense, but he kind of goes out on his own terms, and now it does open up an opportunity for them to try to find some new ideas, new life there on offense. And one of our buddies in the coaching profession, I won't say who this was, Prater, sent me a text this morning. One of the top assistants, this is the position that's now open with Tim Duryea, one of the top assistants on a Pac-12 team with great culture and Leon as boss, might get 1,000 coaches reaching out. And he's just talking, I know they're trying to maybe hire somebody, Mike, while this was going on, so there wouldn't be this gap, if they could get the new assistant coach in here, because, like I said, in the Pac-12, working for Coach Rice, the situation here at Boise State sounds like, at least according to one guy that we know that's in the coaching profession, that there's going to be a ton of interest for this job. So very curious to see what direction they go. I know you've alluded to Max Rice and some other options, but that's not necessarily going to be for this spot. They're going to need to go find a veteran or an offensive coordinator, one of your highest paid, one of your main official coaches here. And so a lot of opportunity here for change, and very intrigued to see kind of what they decide to do, because we've talked about the roster, Mike. It's going to be a new look roster this year with some new players, and maybe a new style would suit everybody well here.
Well, a new style is needed with this offense. And if we're done talking about Tim Duryea, the person, let's switch over to basketball. And yeah, this is a program that desperately needed a change when it came to the offense. You can throw out all the analytics, you can throw out all the stats you want, but the optics, I'm not the smartest basketball guy by any means when it comes to that kind of stuff, but just the optics of the inconsistencies. The inconsistencies, I think, were the biggest thing here. So many lulls, so many different points of games where you're standing around so many different parts of games. And this was a track record and a sample size that's so big that you cannot ignore it. That just the inconsistencies, going through dead periods in games, a lot of standing around, curiosities when it comes to design plays, even simple things like inbounds plays. So, yeah, I think a new, fresh idea of offense. I never thought Tim Duryea was this great genius when it came to offense. We always talk about Mike Burns as this great defensive coordinator, and I know his defense struggled a little bit this past season, but his track record and his reputation for being a genius when it comes to defense, I think, is warranted, and I think it's very well deserved. I don't ever felt that way about Tim Duryea. Tim Duryea's teams at Utah State struggled offensively, and really the only reason that Tim Duryea ended up on Leon Rice's staff, in my opinion, is because Tim Duryea beat him in that one game, that one tournament game in Las Vegas. That's the slow growth game that got everybody fired up and pissed off, and including Leon walking off the stage when he was asked about that slow growth comment right after the Tim Duryea. So he goes out and hires Tim Duryea, and like I said before, Tim Duryea was kind of an adult in the room at the time. I think he did good things, but I don't think this offense was ever elite under Tim Duryea. Inconsistent drove me crazy. I cannot wait to see what happens next.
Yeah, you're right. The eye test doesn't always meet the numbers, and I know analytics are for some people, not for others, but they had that lull there in the middle of the season where it was just a lot of standing around, not much going on, and it kind of coincided with some of those really bad losses in the middle of the season, but something changed down the stretch, and I think they were like, again, take it for what it's worth. I'm just throwing numbers out there, but like the last month and a half of the season, they had like one of the top 30 offenses in the country or whatever. Something changed midway through the season. I don't know if he adjusted, they adjusted, I don't know, but the end of the season it got better. Obviously wasn't enough with how the season ended up and losing to San Jose State, and now you have Lexus Williams. You talked to Mike, change. Everybody wanted change. Things to get blown up. Well, certainly the roster got blown up with losing some key players. adding in, 6 new players here in the offseason, 7 if you count the other incoming freshmen. And then now you have some significant changes to the coaching staff, whether Leon made a change, whether he left on his own, which, again, he did leave on his own. But Tim Duryea now gone, Lexus Williams now gone, Kobe Carl now gone. We'll see how some of these spots get filled, but everybody was wanting major change, and it was either to the roster or the coaching staff or both, and we got it.
Yeah, and I was all about the change. I wanted change. I wanted change on Spencer Danielson's staff 2 years ago when he stood up at podiums in January and said no change to the coaching staff. I don't like that. I don't think you have to have change every single year. But and then this past year, obviously, he brought in Whitted and Brown, and I think that those changes for the football program proved to be pretty fruitful during the spring camp era. We'll see how it plays out more long-term. Change was 100% needed with this basketball staff. Now, with that said, I think we're all going to miss, from a personal standpoint and from a basketball standpoint, in this program, I think is desperately going to miss Lexus Williams. He was the one that kind of got away from me. The change for Tim Duryea, bring it on, fully endorsed by Mike Prater. Kobe Carl, we kind of forgot, guys. He came here for 1 year, and that was the plan the entire time. He came here for 1 year, and yeah, it was cool. And I even talked about maybe him joining the staff. But this guy's got pro basketball in his DNA. He's been at the NBA Combine all week long, and he's trying to dive back into the world of professional basketball where he belongs. And when he took this job, he said it was just kind of a 1 year job of convenience. He happened to be here. He happened to have nothing to do. And so I never expected Kobe Carl to be long-term, but I did want Lexus to stick around. So that's a big loss. We'll see how that plays out. I cannot wait to see what Leon does with this hire. It's been a while since he's been able to play around with his coaching staff, and this is a big one. This will be a really, really big one. And maybe you know this, and you alluded to it. I think you're right when you say you don't put Max Rice into that offensive coordinator position. He's never been a coach before. I think he's going to be a fantastic coach, and I think offense is going to be his specialty. Putting him in charge of the offense right now would not be a right thing to do. I can't wait to see who they bring in to run this offense starting next season.
Yeah, I know you had your poll, and again, we're kind of getting ahead of things a little bit here, but I think we fully expect that there's too much smoke, whatever. Max Rice is going to be coming back, it sounds like, in some capacity. The timing is kind of when and what exactly it's going to look like. But I think your poll was kind of even. I never saw the final number, but it was like 30% don't like it, somewhere in that range, didn't care, and some people didn't like it. So you could phrase it however you want. Okay, well, 65% of the people, or only 30% didn't like it. So that means 65 were okay with it. Or you could go the other way and say only 33% liked it, 65% didn't. I mean, it was. I don't know if you were expecting it to be a little more one-sided, but yeah, Lexus Williams was selling insurance or something when they brought him in. No coaching experience. Max Rice,
an accountant. He was an accountant.
Role,
yeah,
is at least still playing. I know the optics aren't great because it's Leon and it's his son, and I get it. And there's actually a nepotism rule in the state board. They're gonna have to figure out how to work around somehow. That someone alluded me to. But in large scheme of things, the optics are not good. But if you actually look at the basketball and look at some of the actual things, he's no different coming in a way. He's in a better spot than where Lexus Williams was when he was brought in. But he's being essentially one of, I don't want to say lower level. That's not fair. You can have up to 5 assistants, but you kind of have, your 3 that are your main. You used to only have 3, and those are your guys that make 6 figures, and those are your main guys. And then you can have 2 more that are basically called assistants so they can be on the court and help coach, but they're more involved in recruiting, in the player development type stuff. They're not, they're not necessarily during a game maybe having the same kind of role. I'm not trying to minimize what those guys do. They're just as important. It's just a different role for a little less pay. And I think that, yes, you now have an opportunity to bring in like I said, but someone told me there's going to be a ton of interest in this, but a offensive coordinator type major addition to this staff. Whenever Max comes, that'll be, whatever. But my understanding on the Kobe Carl thing, just to clear this too, is I was told last year, so Tyler Whitmer left as the strength coach. And when Tyler Whitmer left as the strength coach, Prater, they never hired a new strength coach. So essentially, Kobe Carl got the salary for a year that the basketball strength coach was going to get. And if you even noticed before games and on the road especially, Kobe Carl was the one out there setting up the medicine, setting up all the and I always thought it was odd they never put 2 and 2 together, but Kobe Carl was like out there, all the stretching bands and all the rolling things. Like Kobe Carl would walk out before games and set those up. He was essentially a de facto assistant strength coach on game day, but that's how that kind of worked, because they had the opening for a year. He was in town. They had to pay for him. And it worked. And so they called him a special assistant to the head coach. He helped out. It was great. But as you said, his goal always was to be a G League or NBA. Now, if they had said, hey, you'll be the coach in waiting, or you can be the next head coach, maybe that changes things. But his goal was to get back to the G League. The NBA had gotten let go or not renewed. I don't know what the term was at his G League. He had the free year. It worked. They moved some jobs around. There is a little, so Matt Charles is the director of operations. Max Teams is the video coordinator. My understanding is everyone kept saying, oh, they have 2 assistant openings. They have 2 assistant openings. Matt Charles, the director of operations, I believe technically got either the money or the title or something that went when David Moats left. And so they only technically have, now they have 2 with Tim Duryea leaving. But I think there's only one. They never replaced Teams. They never technically replaced him from an assistant coaching standpoint, but they gave the title and the money, I believe, spread out among some other guys. And so I think they only had one. I'm getting in the weeds here, I know, and I'm rambling, but they only had one spot, I guess, technically left open, which maybe it was going to go to Max. And then obviously now there's one with Duryea. So we'll see what it looks like. But it was just kind of a weird circumstance last year with Carl that it worked out that he could come back. But I don't think anybody should read too much into that one either.
No, 100% no. I mean, I was always the plan. And that, like I said, that was always the plan. And Kobe always, he came on this show. I'm pretty sure he came on your show. He told everybody. So 1 year of convenience, and let's see how it plays out. So there was some hopes and some dreams, and just because he could still become a head coach at Boise State someday. That doesn't mean that he couldn't. But right now he's chasing his NBA dreams, as he should. That's exactly where Kobe Carl should be, in the NBA. So good for him, and we'll see. We'll try to get him on the show next week. He politely declined this week because he, like I said, he was at the NBA Combine. He had a massive presentation. Those were his words. I got a massive presentation to give on Friday. I don't know what that means. Is he going out for a job? Is he working for somebody and he's putting together some consulting stuff? I don't know. But he had a big presentation today at the NBA Combine. He's been down there all week long, and he's clearly back into the pro basketball world where he belongs, and that's pretty cool. So good for him, and now it's a great opportunity for Boise State to go off and chase some new blood.
And you're way smarter than me on this stuff, Prater. So you probably know way more about this, or know that this is not worth mentioning or something. But somebody did post in our message boards, and I'm curious if you know about this or have a thought on this. The Idaho Office of the Governor, Division of Human Resources, 15.04.01 rules of the Division of Human Resources and Idaho Personnel Commission, and it's about state agencies and state employees. And it does say in spot 025, nepotism, no employee shall work under the immediate supervision of a supervisor who is a spouse, child, parent, brother, sister of the same relation by marriage. This was March 31st, 2022, I believe it got uploaded. So I don't know if they could just say it's Dickey or say it's somebody else. I don't know if you heard anything about that, or is that going to all be an issue to try to get Max Rice hired there?
No, you can work around that, guys. And you struck a chord with me, because anybody, especially people going to the length that's just pure hatred and laziness. If you're throwing out the word nepotism right now, and I don't care if it's a state law or not, and I know that sounds kind of weird, that's a lazy response, because you hate Max Rice, you hate Leon Rice, you hate the fact that these two guys are working together. So you're going out and looking for a ridiculously stupid, lazy response. And nepotism is always easy. Guys, nepotism is everywhere. And that doesn't always make it right, but that doesn't make it wrong. And Max Rice is more than qualified for this job. And I don't care who his dad is. I want Max Rice on this coaching staff. Max Rice is a dog. Max Rice has intangibles. It's very, very important to put former players into the program. Roberto Bergeson's important. So I don't really care what Max Rice's last name is, and I really don't care what Max Rice's dad is. In this particular case, I think it's a fantastic hire. And Max Rice on this basketball program gets me excited, gives me something to sell. Max Rice as a low-life assistant coach on this basketball program might be the most sellable thing that this program has right now, because it doesn't have a lot of other things to market and sell. You're not going to sell 6 new players that we've never heard of. You can't market Leon Rice, who is so polarizing right now, it's ridiculous. You can't market the arena because it's a mess. You can't market the Pac-12 unless it's Gonzaga. I guess that's a pretty decent thing. You just lost Kobe Carl. AJ Few's a rising star, but they're not going to put him on the staff. He's going to continue to do the same thing that he's been doing before. So Max Rice is a sellable part. Max Rice should be a part of this deal. And people that are reaching for the nepotism tag are just looking for hate or looking for a reason, and it's lazy. It's very, very lazy, and it drives me crazy.
Like I said, if you want to look at it on paper, he's coming in more qualified than Lexus Williams was.
100%. 100%. And it's your right to go out there and be lazy. It's your right to go out there and be stupid. But the nepotism thing doesn't work for me. Stop using that. This is a good hire for Boise State basketball.
Oh, we'll see what they do with the other hire. Again, Tim Duryea, the news that he is announcing his retirement from nearly 40 years in the coaching profession. And I was looking at his resume, man. Junior college, started at Colorado State, I believe, was a GA in 1988, and worked his way all the way up to junior college, and then obviously spent a number of years at Utah State under Stu Morrill, and then took over as the head coach there for a couple years, and 8 years at Boise State, 38 by my counts in the coaching profession, and get to spend some more time with his daughters and family down there in Texas. So wishing Tim Duryea the best. We did I talked to him yesterday, tried to get him on the show today. Not a huge shocker, but he's playing in a golf tournament today.
Nice.
And then he's heading home with his family heading back to Texas, I guess, to get some initial things done there next week. But he goes, I'll probably be old news by then, but if you still want me on, I'd be happy to come on. So we'll still try to get him at some point, I think in the next 10 days, and give him an opportunity to kind of, give his final words to Bronco Nation here. And so we'll try to do that, even though unfortunately it won't be for a week to 10 days till he gets back to town. But like I said, always appreciate him, and going to miss seeing him at practice and games, but it is a opportunity for Boise State to have some more change, especially to the offense here moving forward. So any final words on Duryea or the coaching staff before we switch to football, Prater?
No. I just I think it's been a good offseason. I think Spencer Danielson has done a hell of a job winning this offseason from January 1st until right now. He's pulled a lot of different tricks out of his hat and done a lot of risk-reward stuff and changed his coaching staff, changed his roster. Our record 34 brand new players, a couple of new coaches, the support staff. So I think he's won the offseason. And based on the paper right now, I think Leon Rice has won the offseason. So I still need to see what these 6 guys can do. But excuse me, the roster doesn't strike any fear in me, but I think he did a good job putting it all together. I cannot wait to see how it turns out.
All right, we're going to talk football. We're starting our 26 and 26 series here in a minute. The 26 most important players to the Boise State football team. But first, want to thank Lithia Ford of Boise, our title sponsor, Jim Sturk & Company. Employee pricing, folks, going on right now. Check out Lithia Ford of Boise for some incredible deals. You can do it online, lithiafordboise.com, or come view their lot there on Fairview Avenue in Boise. We appreciate our title sponsor, Lithia Ford of Boise. Sun Cruiser, whether it's the blueberry lemonade, the lemonade vodkas, the lemonade teas, the tea flavors, so many great options. Visit a local grocery store or gas station to pick those up. Sun Cruiser, we appreciate them. And speaking of golf, perfect kind of beverage for the golf course. We appreciate our studio sponsor, Sun Cruiser. Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. Branch pretty much on every corner, but the easiest, that mobile eBranch online banking right there in your smartphone. You don't realize how easy it is. You don't realize what you're missing from ICCU until you make the switch. You may think you're happy with your banking experience, but folks, I can tell you from firsthand experience, you get over to ICCU and you're like, wow, you can do that? Oh, wow, that's included? Okay, great, wow. So ICCU, check them out online, Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. Hey, Roaring Springs is rocking and rolling now on the weekends. You can buy 2 Coca-Cola products and save up to $32 at Roaring Springs at Jackson's or Extra Mile by Jackson's. That's right, Jackson's or Extra Mile by Jackson's. You can save up to $32 on tickets when you buy 2 Coca-Cola products. Do that at Roaring Springs today. And don't forget, 99-cent, you can get a bigger fountain drink with your Let's Go Rewards app. Hey, Taco Bell, TacoBellWorks.com, the crunchy chicken cantina tacos, the breakfast quesadillas, all the great options at Taco Bell. Treasure Valley, Taco Bell location. Visit one today, and we appreciate the SON Management Group, the Nicolason family, and so many great options, but sometimes if your kids are like mine, they just like the good old-fashioned cheesy roll-ups. So they've got something for everybody. You can do it at Taco Bell and the Blue and Orange Store, online, theblueandorangestore.com. We were talking with Prater last week about the Blue Turf and the 40th anniversary of that, and you can get those customizable jackets, 40 years on the blue, at the Blue and Orange Store, online, theblueandorangestore.com. And we've been telling you all about the Blue and Orange Store. So many great options, shirts, hats, sweatshirts, bumper stickers, customizable jerseys. Get yours today at the Blue and Orange Store and the Blue and Orange Store.com. All right, Mike Prater, you know how much we love lists to help us fill the summer here on Bronco Nation News and Sports Talk Radio and things. And we were going to have 25 most important players to the Boise State football team. And I won't say which player we originally didn't have on. It's not Oscar Doyle. I had Oscar Doyle on at 25, and there was a little debate amongst the BNN employees about how do we get this another player on there, and that should have been on there. And so I said, well, you know what? It's 2026. Let's go 26 players this year. Why not? It worked.
Nice.
Next year we'll go 27. I don't know. But 26 players on the Boise State football team that, we're calling it most important, but it's kind of just hitting on every position, hitting on the star players, but also based on the depth at the position, based on how many times they're going to, play a game. Like, I think we have at least 4, maybe 5 offensive linemen all made this list just because they're going to play 1,000 snaps compared to some guys, maybe your backup guys somewhere else, so a lot of it is depth, how much you're going to see the field, your importance. If you get injured, what does that do for the team? Things like that. And so we've got a nice list here. We're going to talk about one guy a day, and it won't be the full 45 minutes. It'll be 10 minutes like we have left now. Just touching on different players to give us kind of some content. There'll be an accompanying article at BroncoNationNews.com with each of these players and kind of looking at some of the numbers and things. Before we get to our number 26, though, Mike Prater, there were a few honorable mentions, guys that were close to making the list, but were not included in our 26 that I did want to give a little bit of love for. That includes tight end Austin Terry, wide receivers, new guys, Akeem Wright, Darren Morris, Harry Stewart, the Kansas transfer at running back. We included both of those guys. On the defensive line, Bull was the guy that didn't quite make our list. Michael Madry, Makeo Edward. Let's see here. Manu Teote, the linebacker. Kyle Hall, Jericho Washington Jr. I'm trying to see Cam Jamerson, Madden Soliai, the linebacker there. And then Caden Kello. And you might be saying, who the heck is Caden Kello? He's one of the long snapper candidates this year because that's a spot that's going to be tough to replace our man Mason Hutton. So that was another guy that didn't, the long snapper job is one to kind of quietly pay attention to as an honorable mention. But before we dive into the list here, any of those guys that I mentioned that are worth any mentions from you?
Well, the base, it's a nice list, and the only ones that I can think of that are even starters right now are Caden Kello. He's going to win this long snapper job. I'm not even sure what other competition there is for him, but he'll win the long snapper job. And Michael Madre is probably going to be one of the starters on the interior defensive line, probably alongside of Latu or maybe Sanusi. So, Madre's a starter. Kello will be a starter. The other guys are probably going to be really important sub guys, and we'll see how fall camp plays out, but there's at least a couple of starters on that list and some good backup and support guys.
All right, 26 players in 2026, and we are going to start this thing off with the punter. The punter, Oscar Doyle. Everybody loves the punter. Oscar Doyle checks in at number 26. He was an All-Mountain West honorable mention punter last season and does project to be one of the top punters going in the Pac-12 going into the season. Comes over from Weber State. Obviously, the surprising news going before last season that James Ferguson Reynolds hits the portal and goes to Oregon. They bring in Oscar Doyle, and I thought did a pretty solid job for them last season.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, he's got a big boomer leg. I think he averaged about 43, 44 yards per kick. And, the one thing where he could probably get a little bit better, and this would probably be more of a better conversation with Stacey Collins, the special teams coach, but just the technical side of it all in terms of just the placement and the inside the 20 and the inside the 10 stuff and the left and the right and some of the very, very specific details that are very, very important to that job. And I thought he came in and did a fantastic job. JFR's shoes were big to fill, not only the personality, but the production. And Oscar Doyle certainly didn't grab the attention like James Ferguson Reynolds did. He seemed like he kind of just quietly went about his business. I don't even remember ever interviewing him last year if he was even made available to the media. So I think he did a good job. And I think he's a senior this year. I don't know if that means he has any eligibility left after this year because I lose track of all that stuff these days. But I think he's going to be steady. I think he's going to be dependable. And I think he's going to be a little bit better when it comes to the technical side of his job.
Now, don't want to give away all the numbers. We want you to read and subscribe at BroncoNationNews.com. But some of the analytics on Doyle, he finished third in the Mountain West in Pro Football Focus grade last year, was the 30th highest ranked punter nationally when you kind of put all the different numbers and things into a computer, Mike Prater, and scramble them together. But he was 9th in yards per punt and he was 6th in hang time in the Mountain West last year. So he didn't have the biggest leg, as we said, 9th in yards per punt, 6th in hang time. But he was able to kind of his accuracy and put the ball where he wanted to at times. Mike, he forced 29 fair catches, which was 2nd in the Mountain West last year with 29 fair catches, and his 23% return rate. So the lower the number, the better. He was well below the national average of 28%. So only 23% of his punts got returned. The Broncos finished 4th in net field position last season in the Mountain West, 4th in net field position. And a lot of that was because of his work in the punting game. So I know overall the specialist, and Stacey Collins, been a lot of pressure and scrutiny and talk there. But punting at least was one that, like we said, big shoes to fill. And I would say did a fine job, and now we'll see if he can take some steps forward here this year. And by the way, don't forget he had he threw for a touchdown as well on the trick play.
I think he's throwing a couple passes and that one touchdown, as you said. And I think he's also the holder, or he has been. And I'll give you an old man brain cramp here, but I don't remember was he the holder in spring camp?
Believe so, yeah, one of them.
I don't remember even thinking about that one, but I know he was the holder last year, and I don't ever remember that being an issue. So if you can give me a guy that hold without any kind of concerns, if you can give me a guy that can hold and throw the football a little bit and give me 44 to 45 to 46 yards, and improve that hang time, improve the technical side of what you do, and kind of shore up some of that net return average, I think you got yourself a hell of a good punter. So you always put the punter last on your list, and I'm glad he made it number 26, and I'm glad you made room for him. But I think he's going to be just kind of a quiet, steady force for Boise State back there this year.
2 for 2 for 21 yards and a touchdown. I don't know what that says for his passer rating, but
better than the quarterback they have now. Whoops. Sorry. I didn't mean that.
I always feel bad that the token number 26 for the punter, but when we were kind of putting it together, that's just where the aggregate of the voting all fell. And Colton Boomer won't be much higher. I'll just be honest with that. He'll be in the next couple of days next week as well. But
I got some issues with Colton Boomer, so I save him for my show, whatever that is.
I say all right. I actually was talking to Nathan and Chris about Kanan Moore and the potential there of him trying to push in and earn a spot, and we'll see. But generally, Mike, I know we're going to get to like our questions and special teams as a whole, but where are you overall with the special teams and Stacey Collins going into this season?
Well, Stacey Collins, we all love him, and I think he's a decent coach. I don't know if he strikes me as a great coach. Maybe a little bit too inconsistent. Maybe they spread him a little bit too thin there. They ask a lot of him, and you see him at camp, you see him at practice. He's running around everywhere. He's doing linebackers. He's playing with the defensive line. He's dealing with special teams and return games and kickers and punters. And I don't know. I'm a little bit divided on the leadership part there, but I think they have great personnel. They have really good personnel with really good potential. So, Colton Boomer's got a boomer of a leg. He's got the strongest leg. And 2 years ago, one of the biggest issues was touchbacks, and they made big progress on that last year. Although it got a little squirrely toward the end in terms of the touchbacks. That should be an automatic, and it wasn't. Accuracy is a big deal for him, and that's the one thing that scares me. Accuracy. I'm going to be watching his accuracy in fall camp really close, because I think he's the kind of guy that can lose you a football game, and that scares me right now. I think they got great potential and did some nice things with the return game. Maybe Dylan Riley is going to get back there and a couple of other dudes. So I think the return game could be better. I think the kicking game could be better. The punting game could be better. I'd like to get back to the point where like Avery Williams was here and the outside edge blocking stuff was more of a threat. That really hasn't been a threat lately for Boise State, but that's just kind of nitpicking. The special teams are going to be fine, but they've certainly got some work to do.
All right, Mike, they announced this yesterday, but I didn't have a show yesterday, and it was after the show anyway. I'm sure you guys probably maybe mentioned this on your show, but the feasibility study they're doing around Extra Mile Arena and Albertson Stadium, they announced yesterday they're going to do that. I know specifically this is going to lead to a East Side project, and this thing that is happening, and it's kind of one of those things now. At this point, everyone's just talking about it's going to happen, where they're going to, reslope the lower level and get the seats closer to the field. It's going to add. Nathan Burke was telling us on the media tour of the North End Zone project, close to 3,000 seats per side, upwards of 5,000 to 6,000 extra seats in the lower level when they reslope the seats. And it sounds like one will be done 1 year, one will be done the next year. But I know before they can reslope and add 5,000 or 3,000 more seats to the east side of the stadium, they've got to get that situation figured out with the concession stands and the restrooms and widening the concourse. I know that has to come first, and then will come the resloping, getting all the seats closer to the field and add more seats to the stadium. It's going to be a multi-year process here, obviously, but now they're at least publicly saying that they're starting to look into this.
Yeah, and the east side has evolved the plans. I mean, 6 months ago, Jeremiah was telling everybody it was just going to be one of those overhangs, kind of like what they did with the stickle on the west side, just build it on the outside and kind of drape it over the top, and they still can do all that. There's still all kinds of possibilities. They've been talking about sloping that field and going into the ground for 40 years. I mean, I remember that's probably one of the first stories I wrote about Boise State football when I took over the beat in 1994, and 1 year, you can't do it because the water table next to the river's too close. Now they say, well, because science and technology have changed, there's ways you can do it. So, I don't know anymore. I do know this. And I take those kinds of press releases, and I saw that yesterday, and I probably should have been a little bit more serious about it. The number one thing for athletics, especially the Boise States of the world now, are the people, the revenue sharing. You have to take care of the people. And if Jeremiah Dickey's got to go out and get $10, $15, $20 million every single year just to pay his roster, just to pay his student athletes, I think the long-term future of projects like this are going to be a little bit slower. And I know that Jeremiah Dickey doesn't work slow. And I know he wants Extra Mile Arena to be completely redone with some premium seats and kind of figure out that kind of stuff. I know he desperately wants the east side, but I'm not sure. We have to practice patience here. The north end zone is going to be great, and it's going to alleviate some of those issues on the east side. And it's going to open up that concourse, and you can open up the outside parking lot, kind of like they do for stadiums, and create bathroom space and concession space and space in general, because the east side's a complete total disaster. So there's some short things you can do without investing a lot of money, and I think that's the priority right off the bat. But long-term, you have to put out the things, the feasibility studies. You have to put that stuff out. There's a lot of work to be done, but the money needs to go to humans as opposed to buildings moving forward, and that's always going to be a priority in this college football landscape now.
And I would say if you could do both, where the investment in the facility leads to more premium seats and leads to more revenue that could help long-term. I mean, that's the hope of the North End Zone project. They talked about the previous revenue from, the North End Zone seats compared to what the yearly revenue will be in this thing, as once it's paid off, it could just, it ends up helping fund some of those other things. So ideally 100%. You find a project for the east side that could do both.
100%.
Well, we'll find out what that looks like. And again, that's a ways away. I do know the project they're talking about now, Mike, as you know, but just to clarify for folks, they won't actually be digging any deeper into the ground. There's these kind of like what they do when they put the basketball court for the Final Four, like at a football stadium. They kind of just have these risers, these seats that are built to kind of go on top of the other seats. And there's, I guess, a thing already out there where it's actually a fairly quick process. They would just build right on top of the current concrete slab. They would just take those seats out and basically reslope it at not as steep of an angle closer to the field. I don't know all the details about it, but it's apparently a fairly easy project. They just can't do it until they have more room for people to walk and go to the bathrooms. And Bronco 130 does say, Mike, they need to reslope the troughs.
I know. I've been hearing about the troughs forever, and the only time I ever use them is when I show up for like a Jelly Roll Post Malone concert. But going back to the LeBois horse racing track where they used to have troughs, there only used to be two troughs in all of this in this town where the public could go. LeBois horse racing and Boise State East Side. And having used the ones at LeBois a lot, I kind of miss the troughs and the stories of the troughs. And I know the reality and the practicality on a Saturday afternoon, it's not very fun, but it's almost like they got this life of their own. And I just hear East Side troughs, and I always get a big fat smile on my face. And maybe they could keep a couple of them off to the side, put them in a museum, and then get me some new fancy urinals. But I get it. It's kind of funny.
People might pay good money. They always resell those old seats and old things, sell the troughs. Maybe somebody would buy one.
I would love to put a trough in my house. I've always joked about putting a urinal in my house. Why don't dudes just put a trough in their house and just let it go, man?
You got the toilet behind you already, so you're
exactly. I don't need a bidet. Just give me a trough, man. I'm the kind of guy that needs just a trough. No bidets here.
Hey, you guys might have had three of your back-to-back days with guests in studio there with Spencer Danielson, Leon Rice, and Jeremiah Dickey. That might be a 3-day record that won't ever be broken there, Mike. That was a heck of a guest list earlier this week. Folks can go back and listen to all of those interviews, watch all of those interviews on the KTIK YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to all their channels as well. But I guess you're stuck with me at 4:15 today. But what else? How do you cap off the week today on Idaho Sports Talk?
Yeah, we'll definitely do BJ Rains at 4:15, like we talked about a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about Ashton Jeanty. I think Ashton Jeanty got hosed by the NFL scheduling news last night. The Raiders are one of the only teams not going to have any national primetime games this year. And that's crazy. I mean, I know they're bad, and the other 4 teams that aren't are bad, but the Raiders have this national brand. You think they can get at least 1 or 2 national primetime games? They got 0, and that sucks. And then just looking at their schedule, I mean, the competition part of their schedule, Ashton Jeanty got hosed, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. So looking forward to that conversation.
By the way, May 27th, speaking of scheduling, that's when I saw that the Boise State Pac-12 football schedule and all that will be coming out May 27th. So a little less than 2 weeks away, we'll finally get to plan all those and have the times. And as you know, Mike, I think we might have even mentioned this last week when you were on, for the first time, maybe Boise State ever, I don't know, but we'll have the game times and the dates and all that for every single game, the full season this summer. So you can plan that November 23rd, whatever game. You're not going to have to wait till 2 weeks before to find out the game time. That'll be nice. That'll come on May 27th. Now that the NFL schedule's out, then they'll start to finalize all the college selections, and that'll come out here in less than 2 weeks. So Mike, appreciate your time as always. We'll be listening 3 to 6 Idaho Sports Talk. As I said, hopefully folks will go back and watch those previous episodes. I'm going to keep this thing rolling. Thank a few more sponsors. We'll let you roll, get ready for your show. But looking forward to listening today and talking to you guys at 4:15.
See you then, BJ. Appreciate your time, bud. Have a good day, everybody.
Mike Prater, best in the business. Appreciate him for joining us, as he always does each and every Friday. And, yeah, go back and listen. They had some great interviews and things this week with some of the various, to get Coach Danielson, Coach Rice, and Jeremiah Dickey back to back in the studio. That's big time there. So go back and check all that out. Hey, Matt Bauscher, Bauscher Real Estate, #1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley is Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. 252-9877. Matt Bauscher, Bauscher Real Estate. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, hit up our man Matt Bauscher, BauscherRealEstate.com. Looking for a new roof? Signature Roofing has you covered. MySignatureRoofing.com is the website. They've been covering our community one roof at a time for more than 2 decades. Whether it's a full, re-roof, whether it's a repair to your roof, inspections, estimates, all your roofing needs, make sure you hit up our friends at Signature Roofing. And they're giving away a new roof to a school teacher, by the way. We've got some more details coming on that. Signature Roofing online, MySignatureRoofing.com. Need a new fence? Element Fencing, ElementFencing.com. Brady and his staff, more than 25 years in the fencing industry, building fences from the ground up, and they can help you with that perfect fencing project. ElementFencing.com. Tell them you heard about it on BNN. They can do decks, pergolas, you name it. All your fencing needs, they got you covered. ElementFencing.com. Ridley's Family Markets, ShopRidleys.com. ShopRidleys.com. Locations across the Treasure Valley, Magic Valley, surrounding areas as well. Ridley's Family Markets, ShopRidleys.com. And you just get that hometown feel when you walk into Ridley's and know you're supporting local. So we appreciate Ridley's Family Markets. Again, more information, shopridleys.com. Rowpaint.com, Andy Rowe and company, whether it's interior, exterior painting, that painter for a day project, or maybe their world famous concrete coatings. Andy Rowe, rowpaint.com, all your painting needs. Make sure you hit up Andy Rowe, 991-0567, and or connect, let me know. Same goes for Signature Roofing or Matt Bauscher or Element Fencing or Ridley's or any of our sponsors here. If you want to use one of their services, we'd be happy to connect you. Lithia Ford of Boise, we'll connect you directly with the owner. We'll get that process started for you, and they'll give you the best deal they can. So anytime you're looking to support one of our sponsors, I'd be happy to help initiate the conversation for you and get that ball rolling. And that includes, of course, Andy Rowe and rowpaint.com. So, Sky, appreciate the kind words there. 10 out of 10. Sorry for the no-show yesterday. I took my 9-year-old down to Sacramento for the athletics and the Cardinals, and Cardinals came back and won in the 9th. Had a great, quick 24-hour trip with my son, and saw a couple Cardinals games yesterday. So apologize, but that's why there was no show yesterday. But hopefully you enjoyed today's show. And again, Tim Duryea, the news of the day. If you joined us late, Tim Duryea announcing his retirement, nearly 40 years in the coaching profession, including the last 8 at Boise State. And I know he's going to get a raw deal, and a lot of you guys are excited about this. And but I think he got a little bit of a raw deal when it comes to what he did in his offense. And it wasn't great at times. It was very stagnant at times this season, but there was also times where it was one of the most efficient offenses in the country as well. As I said, they finished 39th in offensive efficiency 2 years ago at Ken Pom. 3 years ago, they were 63rd. And you look at that, those were the third and fourth highest offensive seasons that they've ever had at Boise State in the Ken Pom era. And so Tim Duryea holds 2 of the top 5 offenses in essentially in program history that he was running, in 2 of the last 3 years. So I know some of the other numbers, the optics, I guess, weren't good at times with some of the, just dribbling the ball around the top of the key and things. But there's some famous stories. He had some famous inbound plays, the one against Fresno State to win that game during the 14-game winning streak a couple years ago. And like I said, I know some of you will crap on it and on him and say you're excited and how happy you are that he's gone, whatever. But I think he deserves to be praised on his way out the door, deserves to have positive praise for what he did. He was did some great things offensively. And like I said, this was 100% his decision, wants to spend more time with his family. And I even remember Fred Hoiberg, the Nebraska coach at the Crown, talking about how great Boise State's offense was. And when you play Boise State, you're going to have a tough team to scheme for offensively. Like Fred Hoiberg was giving praise to Tim Duryea a couple years ago at the Crown. So he deserves to go out, praise and on top. And yes, it does lead to an opportunity for change, which could end up being good. But you're not going to hear me say many bad things about Tim Duryea. He was a great guy. Appreciated him for the interviews and coming on the shows. And I thought, did a solid job offensively. And I think the stats would back that up, even though the eye test necessarily maybe didn't at times. But how was the Sacramento ballpark experience? I've said last several years, every MLB team should play one series in their AAA ballpark. MLB baseball played in 60-plus cities every year. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, I would have no problem with that. It was fine. It's a AAA ballpark. It's what you expect from a AAA ballpark, but it was beautiful weather and nice amenities, and the food and drinks and everything were fine. So the sight lines were good. I noticed that. Even like the worst seat in there was a great seat because minor league baseball, you're a lot closer to the field and things like that. So they're making do with what they have. It's a bad situation. 2 years while the Vegas ballpark's getting built. I think they should be playing more games. I think they are playing like 6 games in June in Vegas. I get it because of the weather and how hot it is and stuff, but I think they should be playing many more games. Maybe next year they will in the AAA ballpark that's already in Vegas. Start to get that process going. I know in July you're outdoors. It's hot. I get it. But in April and May and in like September, I think they should be playing a lot of their games in Vegas. I don't know why they only have 6 there this year, but in terms of dealing with what they have, Sacramento, it's fine. My kid enjoyed it, and it was a good experience for the couple of days. Easy to get into the park. Like I said, all the sight lines were good. Not a lot. It was all close. It was nice. Uber pickup was easy. All that stuff was fine. So I think they had about 11,000 at the game, but it was pretty packed both days we were there. So affordable tickets actually as well. So it was a fun, quick couple days to spend some time with my son. So appreciate you guys for watching the show. Thanks again to Sun Cruiser. We're in the Sun Cruiser studios. Go get a Sun Cruiser, whether it's a blueberry lemonade, vodka, tea flavors, so many options. Get one for this weekend if you're watching sports and hanging out, barbecuing this weekend. Perfect time to try some Sun Cruisers. And Lithia Ford of Boise, our title sponsor. That employee pricing is going on. Make sure you check out Lithia Ford of Boise online, lithiafordboise.com, or view their lot of vehicles there on Fairview Avenue in Boise. And they got some great deals. And we appreciate Jim Sturk and company. If you like the show, I say it every show, folks, at the end of the show. But if you like the show, you're watching a free show here on YouTube, and that is thanks to all of our great sponsors, many of which you see behind us. We've told you about all of them during the show today, but there would be no Bronco Nation news and no daily YouTube show, no shows from the road, pregame, postgame, football, basketball, if not for our sponsors. So please support the sponsors. Please tell them you're supporting them because of BNN, and anytime you get a chance to post on social media and tag us, tag the sponsors, say you're using them, please do that, and it does go a long way to let the sponsors know, even if it's as simple as filling up your gas at Jackson's. Post about it, let me know, let the sponsors know, and it does go a big way in them wanting to renew every year and keep everything rolling. So appreciate all of our sponsors, appreciate all of you guys. We still have our 50% off offer going. If you do want to subscribe, now's the perfect time. BroncoNationNews.com, part of the 24/7 sports family, 50% off an annual subscription right now for that first year. Jump on board. You pay the one-time fee, and you don't have to worry about it till after football season, after basketball season. You get a full year of coverage. And now that we're into our 25 players series, we got daily stories, recruiting. I think Chris has 2 recruiting stories in the hopper that will get posted. So a ton of ton of daily content online. We have our daily shows here, and we feel maybe we're bragging, but we feel like BNN and our team, our partnership with KTIK and everything else we have going on, that you're not going to find better comprehensive Boise State coverage anywhere else. So appreciate you. Thank you for your support of BNN, your support of our sponsors. And again, go subscribe, BroncoNationNews.com right now. Take that 50% off deal. And by the way, the Tim Duryea news, we threw that in the VIP message board like over an hour before it got announced. So if you want to get the fastest news, the fastest updates, you need to be checking the message boards daily and checking that VIP board as a paid subscriber, because we threw the Tim Duryea news in there for paid subscribers, broke the news there. So appreciate you guys. Hope you have a great weekend, great rest of your Friday, and go check the website. We'll be posting a couple stories later today. Listen to Prater and Johnny and the crew 3 to 6. I'll be on at 4:15, and then we'll see you Monday. Player number 25 in our countdown. We'll keep that series rolling online. Bronco Nation News, our various social media channels, and of course at BroncoNationNews.com. Have a great weekend, everybody.